We also got Mars and Gemini retrograde. So, of course, this is going to basically be past passions, motivations, anger, enemies, or past ideas reflecting your passions and your motives, and of course, what you got going on. Now, it's going to be like, it's going to be here for a while too. Almost a what, 2023. So, basically, with Mars being a Gemini, this is going to basically be some past endeavors that you had when it comes to your environment, your surroundings, what you have surrounded yourself with, friends, associations, groups, and of course, ideas that may lingered across or things that you pretty much had a counterpart on. That's going to basically be resurfacing or past situations or scenarios that's going to play as reflections, or it's going to basically play as a representation or of a person, place, or thing that's going to be a similar energy or similar trait that's going to basically pop back up. And of course, it's going to basically hit you. So basically, be aware of these energies and of course these emphasis on how it's going to basically play out with you. Also, wherever you have Gemini in your charts, those are going to basically be the areas and locations where you're going to basically be dealing with the most frustrations, past endeavors or past circumstances that you pretty much had encountered when the Mars had entered Gemini, and when it was pretty much in the emphasis of 3 degrees or over. Now, be aware of this too, because this is pretty much a time where you should basically be utilizing your journaling, and of course, clearing your mind. Of course, being ready, prepared to pretty much have a clear way or have a clear perspective on how you want to pretty much articulate and utilize your endeavors or your way of expressing yourself or a way of coming across how to utilize your passions, your motives, and of course, being the voice when it comes to expressing what's on your mind of pretty much putting yourself out there in that genesis. So be aware of those energies on how they kind of pretty much affect you and of course others or whoever you pretty much have in that house, in that space, in that location when you're dealing with those energies and of course those counterparts. So pretty much, or Gemini, someone in tendencies, you guys are gonna basically be getting hit with this the most. But all mutable signs such as Virgos, Sagittarius, and Pisces, you guys are gonna basically be getting hit with these energies as well when it comes to squares and oppositions. And also, this is also going to be a learning aspect on how you can utilize these things too. We also just had Jupiter into Pisces again. So we're also going to basically be dealing with these experiences, past experiences reflecting our dreams, our imaginations, our hallucinations, and things that we are perfected when it comes to idealism and things of that perspective. So be aware of these things that's basically coming back up. And these energies are going to basically play out for a certain time in a certain phrase. So be aware of that and how it's going to basically affect you and others on the totality. So yeah, we're gonna basically get into the houses real fast, and we're gonna basically see how it's gonna play out in your charts. Mars and Gemini retrograde in your first house, Gemini ascendants. So basically, you're gonna be dealing with some heavy emphasis when it comes to past passions, motivations, anger, aggressions, or enemies. Dealing with your personal life, personal aspects, or personal correspondences, or personal internships. Also, your seventh house is going to basically begin to pose during this time. So be aware of that. Now, if you got to see your second house, this is basically, you're going to be basically dealing with a circumstance situation of seeing both sides of past endeavors, dealing with the things you are building on, constructing, and valuing when it comes to your second house resources, material, possessions. And also, this is going to place you into a circumstance situation of dealing with things that you value and appreciated the most. It's going to basically pop it back up. That's going to play as filtering systems to pretty much either work with you or against you. But most importantly, your eighth house is going to basically be getting reflected when it comes to that perspective, which means you're going to be going through a deep transformation dealing with that. Yeah, so you're going to basically be getting opposed by people, places, and things, and circumstances and situations that you pretty much do in the dark, aka things that you keep hidden, secrets and desires. Those things is gonna basically yeah, be your opposites on its own. So basically be aware of what you're valuing and what you're pretty much sharing during this time, because things may basically get a little tricky in that area too. If you got to see your third house, because you're gonna be basically dealing with a conjunction as well, because this is the third house is playing as representations of the Gemini space and location, but your Aries ascendant. So it's gonna basically put you into a circumstance situation of dealing with past ideas and conversations that you shared with your individuals is dealing with your environments, your surroundings, your siblings, your neighbors, your home, and your family. Individuals that perspective, aka it could be your enemies, or it could be a worse case scenario during this time. So basically, be aware of that. Now, what's going to basically begin to pose? What you're going to basically begin to pose is aka the universe touching you, aka your ninth house, your belief, your faith, things of that perspective. Now, if you got Mars and Gemini in your fourth house, you're going to be basically put into a circumstance situation of dealing with, you're going to be basically seeing both sides of the spectrum, but you're also going to be getting hit with a little bit of conflict because you're a Pisces ascendant. So in this house and location, you're going to basically be put into a circumstance situation of going through past emotional conversations that you had with home and family. That's going to basically pop back up, that can work with you or against you during this time. And what you're going to basically begin to pose by is going to basically be your morality and your status, aka what you're known for, your business, your career, your goals, and your association. If you got Mars and Gemini in your fifth house, you're going to basically be dealing with past ideas related towards your creativity, your expressions, and of course your entertainment and fun. Also, you're going to be dealing with some child. Also, you're going to basically be dealing with some fertility during this time. If you're dealing with this house right here, past fertility or past inner expressions dealing with your home, family, children, or your hobbies or things that bring fun, entertainment, and of course enjoyment. Your enjoyment and your fun, your entertainment is going to basically begin going through some uphill battles. But also your oppositions and your opponents are going to basically begin come across your 11th house, aka the things that you associate yourself with, and of course groups of acquaintances or the unknown or secret enemies and things that have perspective. Because you are Aquarius ascendant, so yeah, that's the energy you're going to be basically dealing with, things that have perspective. Now, if you got this in your sixth house, your Capricorn ascendant. So basically, you're gonna be basically dealing with some you're gonna be dealing with some passions, motivations, and aggressions predicated towards routine emphasis, things that you did on a day to day basis, things that you do every day, and things that you got on your scheduling system are gonna basically go to some turmoil during this time, depending on the seeds you plant, and of course how you can basically better pertain these things. And what's going to oppose you is going to basically be dreams that you have that may be against what you're dealing with on your day to day basis, or it can basically help you out depending on how you look at it. Now, if you got this in your seventh house, you are Sagittarius ascendant. So yeah, relationships, past relationships that you had bad blood with, or past relationships that you had communications or relations or things that's dealing with past individuals that you had passions and motivations geared towards too are gonna basically pop back up, or there's gonna be some past ideas that's gonna basically be related towards your passion and your goal. And you could be your worst enemy during this time, so be aware of Sagittarius, some of the sentences. Because you're all getting opposed by Mars at the moment, so be aware of that. And of course, if you have this in your eighth house, you're gonna be basically placed into a circumstance situation of dealing with past deep conversations about your desires, your motives, and your sexual um, preferences dealing with individuals that you had conversations with in that cahoots. And your second house, your money, resources, and material, these things are going to basically be the opposite on the sound. So basically, watch what you share your information and share your resources with during the time. Watch who you share your resources with during the time. You got this in the ninth house. It's opposed here, but of course, it can kind of like do good here because in this perspective, you're a Libra ascendant, so you know a lot about the balance. So in this house right here, you can basically be dealing with some past conversations dealing with moralities, beliefs, faiths, and hope. And of course, what's going to oppose you is going to be your friends, siblings, neighbors, or your environment, your surroundings. Also, if you have Mars and Gemini in your 10th house, this is going to basically be dealing with past ideas predicated towards your goals, your representations, how you're seen in the public's eye is going to basically be popping back up. So individuals that you have connections with or conversations with, dealing with your status, career, and goals, these individuals are going to come back up. And you're going to basically be utilizing this retrograde, or if you can take these individuals with you to the next level, or you should basically let them know where they stay. Now, what's going to oppose you is going to be your home, your privacy, and what makes you comfortable. AKA, things that make you comfortable can make you uncomfortable with your status during this time. So be aware of that. You may have to basically do the 50-50, AKA the balance. So basically balance things out for you. And if you have Mars and Gemini in your 11th house, this is going to basically be past ideas dealing with associations, groups, friends, acquaintances, networking. That's going to basically pop back up. So are you Do you have the right ideas, or do you have the right way of conducting yourself when it comes to networking, groups, acquaintances, or commitmentships geared towards towards that energy or that perspective? Retrograde is going to basically pop back up and see what you can basically utilize and how you can pretty much clear things up. And of course, leave the past with the past and work your way towards the future when it goes direct. Now, what's going to oppose you is going to basically be your fun, your entertainment, of course, your enjoyment, or your self centered energy. AKA, you want to basically be self known for something. It may not basically go well when it comes to your 11th house and your associations. And last but not least, if you have Mars and Gemini in your 12th house, this is going to basically be past ideas, dealing with dreams, conversations about dreams, or your subconscious reappearing, aka mind playing tricks on me. That perspective. Now, we'll also you need to utilize retrograde. See how is your ideas going with things that you want to make happen when it comes to your dreams, your imaginations, your fantasies, and your resolution. And you got to utilize your sixth house, aka that's going to be opposing you. You worrying about certain things. But the thing is, can these worries help your dreams? That's the main objective that you basically need to lead down that cross or down that line. This way, you're basically having the right things to worry about, which when that opposing energy does hit you, it's hitting you in the right perspective. It's hitting you in areas and locations that's gonna basically jump in your dreams and not just basically be geared towards too much logical perspective on how you conduct yourself when it comes to your scheduling system and how you do things on a day-to-day basis and versus your dreams and your perspectives and your hopes. So Mars and Gemini is going to basically be retrograde. So be aware of the past people, places, things that you had intercourses with or in connections with. And these individuals are going to come in different shapes and forms. So be aware of that on how it's going to basically affect you and harm you. But be prepared.